Wake up, commute, work, commute, cook, clean, sleep. Most of us exist inside this tight, suffocating loop. Between the demands of a job and the basic upkeep of a household, laundry, grocery runs, paying bills, there is barely any room left for actual living. Meet Eduardo. Online, he goes by Eduardo Cara 4. He is the ultimate avatar for this modern exhaustion. He works between 60 and 90 hours a week, navigates a 40-minute daily commute, and comes home to take care of 2 cats. On top of that heavy baseline, he carries a deep personal responsibility. Every single day, without missing a single shift, he dedicates an hour and a half to caring for the health of a sick loved one. Do the math on a schedule like that. There are exactly 168 hours in a week. Subtract the 90 hours of labor, the commuting, the daily caregiving, a minimal amount of sleep, and basic survival tasks. Eduardo is left with exactly 4 hours of free time a week. He realized that this level of absolute fatigue isn't a personal failure of time management. He calls it the imposed reality interface, an economic machine deliberately structured to drain our energy so completely that we lack the capacity to question it. Most people would spend those surviving 4 hours asleep on a couch. Eduardo spent them writing a dense 500-page mathematical and philosophical treatise attempting to decode the structure of the universe. This 3D surface plot visualizes a complex mathematical concept from his work, which he calls the A-field framework. He used his tiny window of free time to draft rigorous equations, map phase dynamics, and construct dense topological theories about physical reality. But buried at the very end of this massive wall of science and geometry is a starkly different text. It is a deeply emotional, raw appendix titled simply Para mis Mexas, for my Mexicans. In it, he speaks directly to the historical fatigue of his people. He addresses the people who carry anger, fear, and bone-deep exhaustion without entirely knowing where it comes from, acknowledging their profound spiritual displacement. That final appendix recontextualizes the entire book. It translates the abstract physics into a survival guide for the modern soul, written by a man desperately trying to hack his way out of the RI. Eduardo's argument moves past the frustration of a bad boss or a tough week. He defines the imposed reality as a systemic worldview that was forced upon his culture centuries ago. This map illustrates the borders of the Mexican Cession from 1848. Eduardo points to this year, along with 1562 and 1853, to argue that his people were taught to navigate their lives using maps they didn't draw. These dates signify the violent installation of a foreign ideological rulebook, marking a change that went deeper than the shifting of geopolitical borders or the loss of territory. This newly imported system prioritized intense competition, the endless accumulation of individual wealth, and treating the earth strictly as a resource to be extracted and sold. It completely paved over an intricate ancestral worldview. Before these dates, the native populations understood the earth as a mother, prioritizing communal care, ecological balance, and a deep reciprocal relationship with the land. A culture built on connection was overwritten by a machine built for extraction. The true danger of the imposed reality is psychological. When a forced convention is repeated every day for 500 years, it stops feeling like a historical agreement. It starts feeling like a law of nature. This creates a quiet collective amnesia. An entire culture eventually forgets its own ancestral protocols for how to relate to the earth, how to measure time, and how to treat one another. We endure the crushing exhaustion of modern life for one simple reason. We have forgotten that another way of living ever existed. So how does an exhausted individual with only 4 hours of free time successfully rebel against a system that has been running on autopilot for half a millennium? Eduardo's solution rejects grand political violence. He also completely rejects the idea of buying new wellness products or downloading meditation apps. His method relies entirely on a deliberate mechanical disruption of momentum. The instruction is highly specific. At exactly 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., you must stop all participation in the machine. Drop the phone. Step away from the spreadsheet. Just stop moving. For exactly 3 to 4 minutes, you perform a physical action. Touch the ground with your hands or embrace a tree. Focus on the physical contact and actively surrender your deepest fear, your anger, and your fatigue directly to the earth. This small pause is a radical act. The imposed reality requires our unbroken, continuous participation to survive. By simply stopping, you shatter the endless cycle of production. There is a global logic to choosing exactly 10 o'clock. Because the planet rotates and time zones shift, different regions hit this hour sequentially. This staggered timing creates a rolling wave. As people pause at 10 o'clock local time, a continuous band of synchronized human attention sweeps across the globe, hour by hour. This physical ritual forces the body to remember the ancestral connection the system tried erasing. It physically rebuilds the displaced worldview, 1 3-minute pause at a time. By reclaiming those few minutes a day, we stop navigating our lives using the exhausting maps that were forced upon us. We finally begin to draw our own.